Hey, Mahal everyone, welcome back again to the Broadway Saiyan YouTube channel. I am your host 40 and we are back with another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, in particular actually the global version of Dissidia Opera Omnia. The topic we're going to be covering today is when will Sazh be dethroned? And I do want to give a big shout out to a buddy of mine named Leo Bob. Leo Bob actually runs a fairly large Facebook community for the JP version of Dissidia Opera Omnia, and he helped me a little bit out with some of the information in this video. So thank you so much, Leo Bob. I'm actually going to be leaving a link to his Facebook group in the video description as well as the pinned comments. Be sure to check it out, especially if you're very active on the JP version of the game. So when will Sazh be dethroned? So the overview and purpose of this topic is with the early release of Sazh's buffs and 35 CP weapon in global DFFOO, he's effectively taken the throne as the MVP for everyone's party in clearing harder content provided you pull this 35 CP. So we did get his 35 CP early. We got it in the first summer banner, as well as he also received his buffs. So free-to-play players who missed out on this chance to pull first 35 CP have often wondered when this Sazh era will start to fade, as this reign has taken global DFFOO by storm. And we're seeing it a lot. A lot of people post their teams when they clear the current lost chapters we have, or the Heretic quest, or the EX stages, which were recently released with the release of Kuja for global. A lot of people use Sazh, and why not? He's effectively been a very, very powerful buffer and support for your party, and he makes clearing these events almost, I would want to say, trivialized because of the amount of buffs that he provides and the large numbers of buffs that he does provide. So the goal of this video is to provide you guys a quick analysis of what Sazh can do currently, how he compares to current and future characters, and when his potential reign as the ultimate support will finally start to die out to give us more options for clearing harder content. Now, this video and this information that I'm providing you guys is, of course, my opinion. So if you guys, want to feel free to disagree, by all means do so, but let's try to keep it constructive, because I do like to keep a constructive debate as far as discussing meta and discussing future planning for the game, because it's an interesting topic, but let's try to keep it friendly here. But anyways, so the first thing I want to discuss is what can Sazh do and who compares. So this is going to be very useful, especially for those of you guys that are brand new to Dissidia Opera Omnia or who recently got into the game. So if you have his 35 CP weapon, Sazh's attack boost, which is his second skill, has undoubtedly the best buffs, granting an ally 60% attack and max brave up alongside a large critical hit rate up for 6 turns. He also grants himself the same buffs along with a speed up to himself. So he turns a character from being either average or below average to good or amazing as far as DPS wise. So characters who can somewhat compete with their self buffs are, for example, Kain, but Kain does require both of his weapons to be equipped as well, or both of his weapon passives to be available, as well as usage of both of his abilities to set up to even compare to Sazh's effectiveness. So Kain has his Pride of the Dragoons unique self buff, as well as the buffs that he gets from his second ability Gungnir, but he does need the passives from both of his weapons, and he does need the combined percentages from both of those buffs to even compare or mirror Sazh's effectiveness, whereas Sazh can just use attack boost on an ally and also benefit because he gets the same boost himself along with the speed up. So currently, DFFOO favors fast and high damage output teams to clear harder content. So attack and max brave are definitely two of the most important stats for which Sazh does have buffs for. And the reason why I say that is because Sazh's attack, it generally means that the more you have it, the higher brave damage you deal, and the likelihood of scoring that brave break and shaving brave from the enemy is going to be a lot greater. And then having a higher max brave means that when you finally reach your max brave, and the higher your max brave is, the more HP damage you're going to deal, meaning your clear is going to be faster, it's going to be a lot less stress, and you're going to be having that high score to kind of gloat about, with your friends and your colleagues that you play DFFOO with, as well as being able to get some of the achievements for the harder quests that are currently available within the global version of the game. So what can Sazh do again, and who compares? So Aiko, Yuna, and Ramza are currently 3 options as alternatives for Sazh with their buffs. But however, they still do fall short of Sazh's prowess. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover what they currently do within the global version of the game. So Aiko's HP regen, which is her supporting ability with her weapon passive, provides the party a 10% attack up, as well as a 10% max brave up, alongside that HP regen for 12 turns. So she definitely outclasses Sazh in survivability with that HP regen, as well as buff longevity, as Sazh's buffs only last 6 turns, whereas hers last 12 turns. However, Sazh's huge numbers still leave her in the dust. I mean, you can't compete with 60% attack up and 60% max brave up with Aiko's, because 10%, that's like a 50% difference right there. And I know the HP regen is nice, but that damage output you're going to get with Sazh kind of overrides that regen, because if you're constantly breaking the enemy, they're not going to really be able to do much as far as HP abilities or HP attack wise. So Yuna is the second character, so her current improved cheer with her weapon passive grants a 20% attack up for 5 turns to the party, a brave regen based on 20% of initial brave, and a 10% max brave for 5 turns. So while the brave regen is nice because you're getting that replenishment every turn, every character turn, the large numbers that again Sazh provides overshadow that, as you're gonna always score a brave break with his party buff. So in reality, that brave regen doesn't even really matter, because if you're scoring constant brave breaks with Sazh, you're essentially getting that replenishment to everybody's brave. And then finally, Ramza's Galvanize provides the party a 30% attack up, as well as a Brave regen equal to 40% of initial Brave for 9 turns. So again, it's kind of a similar situation to Yuna. That Brave regen is nice, especially it's a larger modifier at 40% of initial Brave. Again though, Sazh's buffs are the 2 most important stats in the game. It still overshadows Ramza's effectiveness as a support character. So overall, even these 3 contenders currently with what we have in Global struggle to compete with the meme lord himself as being the most effective offensive support in Global DFFOO. So the next thing I want to cover with this is, which are the earliest batches of level 60 awakening? So the reason why I'm mentioning this is level 60 awakenings came out about a little over a month when JP got Kuja last year. So how is this going to change for our boy Sazh? Because Sazh doesn't get his level 60 awakening right away unless they decide to change things with Global, because you never know what they're going to do with Global. So the first 3 batches that get their level 60 awakening are Firion, Cloud, Terra, Warrior of Light, Ishtola, and Shantoto for batch 1. Vaughn, Tidus, Ace, Yuna, Cecil, Dark Knight Cecil, and Bartz for batch 2. And then Bart, Zidane, Rem, Sarah, Squall, and Lightning for batch 3. So out of these 3 batches, Yuna and Sarah stand out as far as this topic goes because they're support that have abilities comparable to what Sazh can currently do. So will their level 60 buffs contend with what Sazh still provides? So at level 60, Yuna's Cheer gains an HP restoration by 30% of max HP to the party. However, it doesn't gain any additional changes as far as stat buffs to the party, so Sazh is still a little bit better, unfortunately. And then Sarah's Moonlight at level 60, now this is pretty good, now grants the party a 60% attack up for 5 turns. So hey, she gets the 60% attack up for 5 turns, which is nice because Sazh has that, but Sazh's last 6 turns. Plus he also has the max brave up and that large critical rate up for 6 turns. So again, it's an option, but Sazh still wins this as far as his support buffs for the party. So again, keep in mind that even if Sazh's buffs outclass Yuna's and Sarah's at level 60, this is where he's going to start to fade during this era, because some of the more offensive characters who get their awakening will obviously, because of the higher stats, have a higher damage output to the point where buffs won't really be necessarily needed. So characters such as Terra, especially when she gets her level 60, she's going to have that insta-cast with her abilities. This is where you're going to see the Sazh era slowly start to fade. So, but again, however, during this era, Sazh will still be a useful unit as a support if you still need that extra oomph, especially because getting that level 60 awakening for a character requires a little bit more work, because the certain crystals, which are the tier 4 crystals, you can't farm them as easily as the current tier 1 through 3 crystals that we have available to us in the game. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about is future support released during early level 60 Awakening, and can they compete? So the particular support characters that I'm going to cover are characters that either provide some sort of an offensive boost to attack or max brave. So the next character we're actually going to be getting is Maria. So with her 35 CP passive, she grants the party a 30% attack up for 3 turns. Sazh still wins. Raijin with 15 CP grants the party a 20% physical attack up for 4 turns. It's nice, it can stack with Sazh's because it's only for physical attack, but for 4 turns, it's decent, but Sazh still wins. Now, Lilith is a character that I've been talking about a lot on my streams. So she grants the party a 40% max brave up to all for 6 turns. Now, I know that's 20% under Sazh's, and she doesn't have an attack buff, but she's also a character who is a debuffer, and her debuffs are actually pretty nice. So she inflicts debuffs to speed, attack, magic attack, and sap. And sap is one where it drains a particular amount of brave from the enemy per turn. So that combination actually you're going to start to see a lot of Lilith being used when she comes out. Now, Sazh, I'm going to actually say he's still a little bit better with his 35 CP and buffs than Lilith, but Lilith will definitely be an option. So you're going to start to see a little bit more of Lilith when she comes out, and she's going to be released when Chapter 11 comes out because she's part of that batch of characters. Another character is going to be released within the early level 60 Awakening that support is Selfie. So she's going to be introducing the wall buff to the party, which grants a 30% damage reduction to the party. That's actually really, really powerful because it's a 30% damage reduction across the board. It doesn't matter if it's a magic attack, it doesn't matter if it's a range or physical, it's just a straight up damage reduction. And she also grants a 50% max brave up, 10% lower than Sazh, but she also grants a debuff evasion rate. And also she's going to be a character that's going to be getting her level 60 right away. So because of the increased stats, we're going to start to see her being more used definitely compared to Sazh, because again, Sazh is not going to get his level 60 Awakening till later. And finally, Kate Sith is going to be introduced during the interlude stage later on, which will effectively be the ultimate support to dethrone Sazh. So Kate Sith at his maximum potential in Awakening grants the party a unique buff called Cheerful Gift. So this grants the party attack up and also grants both HP and Brave regen. So that in itself is like, wow, that's amazing. And then on top of that, he also grants the party a 60% max Brave up and a 30% attack up for 9 turns, as well as his abilities becoming increasingly more powerful based on the amount of buffs across the entire party. So once Kate Sith is out, you're gonna, if you pull for his weapons, and right now in JP he has up to his 35 CP, so he doesn't even have an EX yet, you're gonna be saying bye-bye to Sazh effectively, because Kate Sith is gonna be one of the best investments as far as support-wise for a character that you definitely want to save up for, especially if you're free to play, because when you're free to play, you're kind of, I hate to say this, but you're kind of forced to play a certain way if you want to be able to clear all of the harder content within the game. And I know there's some free to play players that are like, oh, I want to pull from my favorites, and that's perfectly fine, but you have to also accept the fact that if you're only going to be pulling for your favorites because you want to enjoy the game for what it is and you want to have fun, you have to be aware that you have to be okay with not being able to clear some of the harder stages, such as, for example, the EX stages, or some of the Heretic quests, or some of the Lost Chapters, until maybe later on. And that's okay, because, to be perfectly honest, all of the rewards that we get for these harder quests, yeah, I know they're nice. It's like 500 gems, some tickets, or some armor tokens, or later on we get some power orbs. They're really, really cool, but think about it. These rewards are not exclusive. Now, if they were exclusive rewards and we never see them again, then I could see the reason why free-to-play players are going to be a little bit concerned. But because they're not, I feel like, don't really stress about it if you're a free-to-play player. Play how you like, but again, if you're trying to be a little bit competitive and want to stay free-to-play or don't want to spend that much, then there are certain characters that you definitely want to save up for, especially with the way that Global is going right now. Sometimes they change things up. You want to definitely take a look at what these characters can do and see, hey, is maybe this character worth it for me to pull for with the gems that I've been saving up, and then make your decision there. So final thoughts and conclusions. So Sazh will definitely hold his place for quite a bit, even with the early era of level 60 is released. However, his time will come. It's when his usefulness will be outlived, especially when Selfie and Kate Sith are released. So definitely, if you have his 35 CP weapon in Global, enjoy him now before that time comes. He's gonna definitely be a powerhouse character and MVP for the current content and a little bit of the future content that we'll be getting to clear some of that harder content and help you guys, you know, get those achievements and get those rewards. So anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Again, huge shout out and thanks to Leo Bob. I'll be leaving the links to his group, again, as I mentioned before, in the video description as well as the pinned comments. Also, thank you guys for all the support and the kind words. I won't be saying exactly why, just for privacy reasons, but if you're a part of my Discord and Twitter, you guys know what I'm talking about. But thank you guys for your kind words of support. You guys really motivate me to stream and make these videos and not give up on, you know, my dreams of being a content creator and streamer for the things that I love in life. So thank you so much for that. Once again, this is 40 the Broadway Saiyan. Stay tuned for the next video, and Mahal, everyone.